Iran's retaliatory airstrikes on Israel, a surge in U.S. consumer confidence, and a nostalgic look at America's most unique carousels. And today's trivia question, which U.S. president is one of only two father-son pairs to receive the Medal of Honor? I will tell you, it is Flag Day, Saturday, June 14th. This is the Flyover Podcast. Welcome to the Flyover Podcast, taking you above the noise for an unbiased, high-altitude view of today's headlines with daily coverage that's honest and refreshing. Let's cruise the news and land the facts. Good morning, everyone. I am Ayla Brown, usually your weekday host, but I'm filling in again for Amy Hess this weekend. She must be taking a really long and very deserved vacation. Even though it's Saturday, the headlines don't stop, so let's take off. Iran launched about 100 missiles at Israel Friday night, targeting Jerusalem and Tel Aviv in retaliation for Israeli airstrikes that killed top Iranian generals and nuclear scientists. Israel's Iron Dome intercepted most missiles, but some caused fires, injuring 21 people, with 2 in serious condition. The Israeli military reported strikes on military sites, with civilian areas like a Tel Aviv school hit. Iran canceled planned nuclear talks with the U.S. and Oman, signaling escalation. President Trump denied U.S. involvement in Israel's strikes, urging Iran to negotiate, while Secretary of State Marco Rubio prioritized protecting U.S. forces. Israel remains on high alert for further attacks, with Jordan and Iraq closing airspace. Next, U.S. consumer confidence jumped in June to 60.5, surpassing the expected 54 and marking a 15.9% monthly gain, ending a 6-month decline. Those numbers come from the University of Michigan's Consumer Sentiment Index. The boost follows the Trump administration's rollback on select tariffs, with the one-year inflation outlook dropping to 5.1%, the lowest since 1981. Republicans show stronger optimism than Democrats. The Federal Reserve is expected to keep interest rates steady at 4.25% to 4.5% next week, with markets anticipating 2 2025 cuts. And in lighter news, a new list ranks America's 10 most unique carousels, celebrating nostalgic memories and, well, charm. San Antonio's Kiddie Park, the oldest children's amusement park, features a 1918 hand-carved carousel with 36 jumping horses, some with real horsehair tails. Cincinnati's Carowlands Carousel at Smalley Riverfront Park opened in 2015, honors local wildlife and Martha, the last passenger pigeon. In the Herschel Carousel Factory Museum in North Tonawanda, New York, showcases a restored 1916 #1 special carousel, offering carving classes. You can catch the entire list, plus pictures, in today's email edition of The Flyover. Sign up for free at jointheflyover.com. In politics, oil prices hit $73 per barrel Friday, up 6% to a 5-month high, after Israel's Operation Rising Lion airstrikes targeted Iran's nuclear and military sites. Energy analyst Phil Flynn of Price Futures Group told media the spike may be short-lived, as OPEC Plus could offset any supply disruptions with Iran's 3.2 million daily barrels at risk. Next, the Ninth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals on Thursday temporarily blocked a federal judge's order requiring the Trump administration to return control of California's National Guard to Governor Gavin Newsom. U.S. District Judge Charles Breyer had ruled Trump's deployment of 4,000 guardsmen to quell Los Angeles immigration protests violated state authority. The appeals court's stay allows federal control pending further review, with Newsom and Democrats arguing it's unconstitutional. A federal judge in Atlanta blocked President Trump's executive order on Friday aimed at securing federal elections, siding with 19 Democratic state attorney generals who called it an overreach. The order required federal agencies to verify voter citizenship, which U.S. District Judge Denise Casper ruled infringed on states' constitutional election powers. The Justice Department plans to appeal, arguing it protects election integrity. And President Trump confirmed Thursday that the U.S. Army's 250th anniversary parade set for Saturday, that's today, in Washington, D.C., will proceed despite forecasts of rain, stating, quote, "It doesn't affect the tanks or the soldiers. They're tough, smart." The $30 million event featuring 6,700 soldiers, 150 vehicles, and 50 helicopters coincides with President Trump's 79th birthday and Flag Day, drawing protests as well from groups like No Kings. We're brought to you today by David Protein. 28 grams of protein, 150 calories, and 0 grams of sugar. You know, most bars on the market are basically dessert in disguise. They're gross because they're loaded with sugar, packed with calories, and pretending to be healthy, but they're not. David, though, keeps it simple. High protein, low calorie, and nothing unnecessary. So if you're trying to hit your protein goals without blowing up your diet, this bar is the perfect one for you. And no more comparing labels and doing the math in the grocery aisle, because one David bar gets the job done. Protein helps build muscle, preserve strength, and keep bones healthy, especially as we age, and we all are. David bars come in multiple flavors, but your best bet is to try them all, especially with that variety pack, because they're all worth trying. And if you buy 4 cartons, get the 5th free. Check it out at davidprotein.com or click on the link in the description below. Here are those extra stories just for listeners of the Flyover Podcast that you won't find in the email edition. So if you're still hunting for a Father's Day gift, don't worry. Newsweek's roundup of unique picks has you covered with personalized options like custom caricature mugs that run from $30 to $50, or experience gifts like brewery tours. With Father's Day tomorrow, online orders with expedited shipping can still arrive in time. Or if you want, you can opt for digital gift cards for those experiences. Next, you know those old keepsakes in Grandma's attic? Well, they might be worth a fortune. Vintage items like 1960s Pyrex bowls, rotary phones, and costume jewelry are hot with collectors. A 2024 eBay report shows vintage home goods sales are up 25%. So I'm just saying you might want to check your attic to see if you have any of these valuables. And lastly, elementary students at Anaheim's Sun-Kissed Elementary School set a Guinness World Record on Wednesday for the largest red light, green light game, with 1,108 kids playing. Organized by the PTA to foster unity, the event beat the previous 895-player record set in Japan, with Guinness representatives on site. The game, popularized by Squid Game on Netflix, took place on the school's field. That's your podcast extra roundup for today. Listeners of the podcast will get these exclusive types of stories every single day, so we hope you enjoy them. Coming up, though, thousands of Middle East flights are being canceled or rerouted, and an update on Air India's Flight 171 is all coming your way. Here's how the stock market did yesterday. It was a rough end to the week on Wall Street. The Nasdaq dropped 1.3%, the S&P 500 slid 1.13%, and the Dow fell nearly 1.8%, giving back much of the week's earlier gains. Bitcoin dipped slightly, down about 0.5% to just over 105,000. On the flip side, gold surged more than 2%, climbing to $3,452 an ounce as investors sought safety in the middle of rising global tensions. In sports, UCLA's Rock Chalowski, a sophomore shortstop, tops ESPN's list of 2025 College World Series MLB draft prospects with a .367 /.494 /.742 slash line. I said slash a lot. 23 homers and elite defense, eyeing the 2026 number one pick as UCLA faces Murray State today. And Cincinnati Bengals first-round pick Shamar Stewart, unsigned as of Friday, may sit out 2025 over contract disputes involving forfeiture language. For more sports updates and box scores, go to today's email edition of The Flyover. Here's what's happening beyond our borders. Israeli airstrikes on Iran, dubbed Operation Rising Lion, targeting nuclear and military sites early Friday, led to thousands of Middle East flights being canceled or rerouted. Iran, Iraq, Jordan, and Israel closed their airspace, grounding flights at Tehran, Tel Aviv's Ben Gurion, and Amman airports. Next, investigators recovered at least one black box, either the flight data or cockpit voice recorder from Air India Flight 171 that crashed into Ahmedabad's BJ Medical College hostel Thursday, killing 241 of 242 aboard. The sole survivor, British national Vishwash Kumar Ramesh, remains critical. The crash, India's deadliest since 1996, killed 5 on the ground, with preliminary theories pointing to a double-engine failure, flap error, or bird strike. The second black box search continues amid debris. And Pope Leo XIV, the first American pope, rescheduled Carlo Acutis' canonization for September 7th, 2025, making the Italian teen who died in 2006 at 15 years old the first millennial-era Catholic saint. The ceremony, delayed by Pope Francis's death in February of 2025, will occur in St. Peter's Square, honoring Acutis' tax-savvy evangelization and 2 credited miracles. Born in 1991, Acutis used websites to spread faith, earning the nickname God's Influencer. Coming up, Miami police issued an arrest warrant for a former NFL star, and the bond is set at $250,000. I'll tell you who it is and the details next. Here are some stories that we just couldn't leave out. Lewis Pullman is set to star alongside his father, Bill Pullman, in Spaceballs 2, playing Starburst, the son of Lone Star and Queen Vespa. This is for the 2027 sequel to Mel Brooks' 1987 Star Wars parody. Bill reprises his role as Lone Star, with Rick Moranis as Dark Helmet and Keke Palmer as Destiny. WWE Women's Champion Tiffany Stratton threw a wild first pitch at Citi Field Thursday before the Mets' 7-2 win over the Nationals, sailing it high over catcher Jared Young. The 26-year-old, who called it pretty good on Instagram, drew a lot of laughs from fans, with the pitch clocking about 30 miles an hour. And lastly, Miami police issued an arrest warrant Thursday for former NFL star Antonio Brown, charging him with attempted murder after a May 17th shooting at a celebrity boxing event. Antonio Brown, 36 years old, allegedly fired at a 26-year-old man during a dispute, missing but causing panic. He's also charged with possession of a firearm by a felon, with a bond set at $250,000. Here's yesterday's poll question and, of course, the results. Do you believe Friday the 13th is an unlucky day? 91% of you said no, and 9% said yes. Woohoo! I was with the majority on this one. But here is the poll for today. Have any members of your family served in the U.S. Army? Yes, no, I did, or another branch. My father served in the Army National Guard for almost 4 decades. He made it all the way to full bird colonel. I'm incredibly proud of him and all others who have served our wonderful nation. No matter if you served in the Army or another branch, thank you. And here's your trivia question for today. Which U.S. president is one of only 2 father-son pairs to receive the Medal of Honor? Well, only 2 father-son combinations have been awarded the Medal of Honor since its inception in 1863. Arthur and Douglas MacArthur and Theodore Roosevelt and Theodore Roosevelt Jr. were awarded this Signal of Honor for their gallant efforts dating from the Civil War through World War II. Well, today was filled with a lot of heavy news, but thank you for carving out part of your day to hear the headlines. I hope you learned something today. Don't forget about Father's Day tomorrow. I will be here with you again in the morning. Thank you so much for flying with us.